Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Today we're going to go ahead and make the battery box for our lamp design assembly. We have our PDF document with our drawings showing us all of our measurements for the lamp for the battery box. And let's go ahead right in here and take a closer look at it. So this is the model that we're going to wind up making. And you can see, what do we have here? We have a rectangular prism box. It's been hollowed out. So we've got a box here. It's hollowed out. It has a little extrusion on the side sticking out that allow us to lock into the lip of the lid. We have two compartments here that are created with this T section that appears just to be a sketch pulled straight upward. And then finally, for a little bit of aesthetic and provide a little extra thickness at the bottom, you can see we have the battery direction symbols to tell us what size battery we need and which direction to put them in the box. So let's go ahead and create one of these. We'll start with a clean part studio. And of course we need to go ahead and create a box. So as always, we're going to start on the front view. We'll start with a sketch. We'll put this one on the front view. I'm going to go ahead and use a corner rectangle to get started. And we'll draw a rectangle. But now that we have the question, how big to make that rectangle? Well, here's our box. We're currently looking at the front view. So looking at it from this angle, so let's see how wide and tall this thing is. Overall width is 2450, so 2.450 all the way across. Where's all the way across taking us? You can see that that's right out to here. So that's bigger than the main body of this. We're not going to include that. So we'll just include to here, which would be 50 thousandths less. So we subtract 50 thousandths off there. So we get 2450 minus 0.050. So we just cover that up, 2.4. So let's go ahead and add a dimension. Hit the dimension tool. Click and release. Move your mouse. Click and release. 2.4. Enter. So our box is 2.4 units wide. And then how tall is it? So we can't see height in the front or in the top view. So we scroll on down to the front view where we can see the height. And if we follow the top corner all the way out, slide her down here, you can see we're at 1.250 for our overall height. So let's go ahead and create that dimension. So again, put your mouse over the line you'd like to measure, click and release, move the mouse out, click and release, 1.2, 2.45, 250, 1.25. 2.250, enter. And you can see now our lines have all turned black. Our sketch is fully constrained. So we're ready to save this. So hit the green check to save. And go ahead and hit with our extrusion. I'm going to turn the planes off real quick just by tapping the P key on the keyboard. And I don't need my origin anymore, so I'll hit that poke it in the eyeball here and shut her down. Let's go ahead and extrude. Remember, we work from left to right across the toolbars. And click on the area I want to extrude. And we need to know how deep to extrude that. Well, I'm not going to be able to see that in the front view. So we can only see depth in the right and top views. And so we got to look for a depth dimension that goes all the way from the back to the front. Not going to see one over here. Let's check it over here. Sure it is. Sure enough, there's back corner, front corner, 0.700. Let's go ahead and make that 0.7. And we'll just call that main body. since that's our main body for this main form for this battery box. And that creates a part, so let's go ahead and name that part while we're at it. So that's going to be our battery box. So now we have our first part made. This is going to be our only part. We have our first section. We have a part on the table. And it's far from ready, but at least it's the right overall size. All right, what do we have next? All right, so we're going to hollow this whole thing out. We have an even shell thickness all the way around. We know that. We can look up what her dimensions as well. There's a note here. Outer shell wall thickness, 50 thousandths. Well, that makes it easy. We're going to hit the shell tool, click on the surface, and change the thickness to 50 thousandths, 0.50. And there we have it. So now we have a box that 2 batteries will fit in. Time to go ahead and add a divider so they don't roll around so much. Let's go ahead and look down on the box. Let's hit that sketch button. Click on the bottom face here. Make sure that's selected. You can see sketch 2 is now on the bottom of our box. And we're just going to go ahead and draw that T-shaped thing. Remember the yellow lines and dots, they're really helpful for us. They let us know when we're aligned with something and we're going to snap to it. So right now you can see if I click right now, I will have a vertical constraint and a perpendicular constraint applied. So I'll be vertically aligned with that point, and I'll be perpendicular to the right wall over here, that right edge. So let's go ahead and get that location because I do want that. And then come on down here. And I'm now vertically and horizontally constrained to that point on the right. And there you have it. All right. So there's my T-shaped section, but I need to apply some measurements to this mess. Let's see what we have. Well, I'm 1/10 of an inch, 0.100, 100 thousandths, from the inside edge of the shell wall to the inside edge of the T-shape. So let's go ahead and do that. Get our dimension. And so from the black line to the blue line is 0.1. 0.1. And now we can see we've got those dimension black. That's good. And now the next thing, let's see what we have. We got to find some measurements on this guy. Zoom in a little bit. So what do we have? Got a wall. Okay, wall thickness. Here we go. So these 2 lines are separated. Right there's some arrows. So the wall thickness is 50 thousandths. So let's go ahead and apply that from here to here. So to do a difference measurement, distance between things, I clicked and release on that line. You can see right now the dimension for the length of the line is popping up, but I'm not looking for the length of the line. I don't care what the length of the line is. What I care about is how far it is between the 2 blue lines. So I clicked and release on that line. I'm going to click and release on this line. And that was 50 thousandths. So decimal point 0.050. Enter. And what else do we have? Do we have any other measurements on that line? If we follow the extension line out, you can see there's another arrow. So 600 thousandths from the bottom corner up to the bottom line. So go ahead and do that from the bottom corner to the bottom line. We got 600 thousandths. 0.600. And now you can see everything's turned black. So that means we're set. We'll call that the battery divider. Now we're going to extrude that. So identify that section. Don't need it to go that far. Let's see how far we do need it to go. Not going to be visible in the front view. To find depth, we got to go to the right side view or the top view. You can see 0.5 is the measurement from the bottom of the surface. Let's zoom in here a little bit. So finding 0.5 at that corner. So from this bottom corner up to the top of the divider is 0.5 inches. So look at that, 0.5 inches. That works. Battery divider. 0.5 inches. And it's all joined together, so we're not changing any of the rest of that stuff. We got add. We don't want a new part. And there it is. Nice. Darn close to finishing and being fixed. Let's see what else we have in our model. Let's see, we have the battery symbols, little signage there, and oh, look at that. There's a drop-down slot. Okay, what do we know about that slot? So it's in the divider wall. It's 50 thousandths wide and 125 thousandths tall. So 50 thousandths wide, 125 tall. So we could probably draw a square or draw a rectangle on here and push it down 125 thousandths. So we'll go ahead and create a sketch on the top of our T section right here, on top of our divider. And then we're going to get our rectangle tool. And we'll go ahead and find that corner. Click and release on it when you see the glowing, when it glows yellow. And then we find that gold, like pot of gold, like looking for lucky charms. Find the pot of gold. Anyway, find that gold line and click and release. So you can see that we have a lot of stuff already black. So all we need to do is define the distance between the blue line and the black line. And we see those 50 thousandths, so 0.050. And everything, all of our lines, sketch lines are turned black, so that means that's ready to go. This is the notch for our coil spring. We're going to go ahead and extrude that. We're going to change the direction. Sure as heck don't want to go that far in that direction. But if you check back to our drawing, you saw that depth was 1/8 of an inch, 0.125. So we're going to be sure we match that, 0.125 as we remove. This arrow flips the direction and green check. All right, almost done. So we need to add the lip over here that allows the lid to lock. So let's go ahead and take a look at the measurements there. So it's on the same side. It's actually on the same side. I said that wrong. It's on the same side as our notch. So that lip is 50 thousandths tall and 50 thousandths wide. So let's just go ahead and put it right here. So we'll hit the sketch button. Go right there. The rectangle from that top corner. I go over and down about 50 thousandths. We'll apply our measurements. Now you can see while it's highlighted, I don't have to go all the way up to the dimension tool again. I can just type in decimal point 050, tab key, enter, and 0.050, enter, and it's done. So by starting to type immediately while it's highlighted, it will save me the step of having to go and get that dimension tool. Now the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to extrude that up to here. Now we can go look up the measurement, or we can actually use that flip button. You can actually use change the style of extrusion, and we choose up to face, and pick that face that we want to go up to be even with, so that it becomes part of it. Of course, it's merged with, it's an add merged with existing, so we're all set, and that's going to be the lid clip. Just call it clip. So there you have it. Now the last thing we need to do is our battery direction indicators, which initially look a little complicated when you're looking at them here. They look fancy and complicated, but the reality is they're really quite easy because they're just rectangles. This is a rectangular shape here. This is a rectangle shape here. So it's two rectangles, and they've just been extruded at a tapered angle. So it should be pretty straightforward for us. We're just going to go ahead and draw, sketch on the bottom surface. And are the measurements provided for us? Sure are. They're 1.445 wide, 1.381 overall. Okay, some odd measurements, but we're going to be 3D printing this, so measurements can be odd. So I wouldn't recommend using those sizes if you're going to send that off to somebody else in the machine shop to try to make. It might be getting pretty angry with you for not using rounded numbers. All right, so 1445 and 1381. So dimension tool. .381. 1.445 for the bigger one. There you have it. And the other battery will be just the same. The battery symbol will be just the same, just in opposite direction. So we'll go ahead and line that up. Again, using those yellow snaps helps a lot. So I come over and then draw the other component. And we can save ourselves some measuring by using our equal constraints. If I want the length of that line to be equal to the length of that line, like this line to be equal to the length of that line, length of this line to be equal to the length of that line, and let's make the length of that line equal to the length of that line. Makes those line up pretty good. And let's use some midpoint constraints. Let's find the midpoint of, look at that. Let's add a point. Add a point there at the midpoint. Add a point at the midpoint. And we use the horizontal constraint to line those up. There we go. Do the same thing on the other side. Let's go ahead and add a point. Add our midpoint. Add a point at our midpoint. Use the horizontal constraint to line them up. There we go. So now they're matching, they're identical. Now it's just check random drawings to see where they need to go. And looks like it's not provided, so we'll just make them look good. Those are just decorative anyway. Well, mostly decorative, except for this next part. So are they fully constrained? No, we'll just leave it. So let's go ahead and extrude those. So we're going to go ahead and identify the areas we want to extrude. So click all the rectangles. And how far do they extrude? Can't see that in that view. So we're going to come on over to the right side view where you can see them extruded. And you can follow the extension lines up to the dimension where you see it's 20 thousandths. So we're going to go to 20 thousandths. But it's important to note that those are not straight extrusions. You can have a taper there. So it's a 120-degree angle. But remember, the taper angle is measured from straight up and down. So it's actually a 30-degree angle. We're going to click the draft button. And we'll make that a 30-degree angle. And we're going to have to look in there, make sure it's tapered the correct direction. Looks like we're going to have to change the direction. Yep, there you go. So if you extrude that, and you can see that they've gone backwards, the draft angle, just this circle right there, little arrow symbol, tells you which direction. And yeah, if it looks like that, you went the wrong way. So let's double click on that, hit that, change the direction, and while we're at it, let's give it a name. We'll go with just call it battery symbol. Green check, there it is. And what else do we want to do to this thing? You just want to go ahead and put some text on that. Sure, why not? So let's put a sketch on that plane. And let's grab our text tool. Zoom in and click and release, move the mouse, click and release, and let's just AA. And green check. And we can move that around where we want it. That looks about good. And so we want to turn this around. They're pointing in opposite directions. Nope, they're both pointing the same direction, so that's good enough for us. You can actually do that again, or we could use a copy tool. Let's just do it again. All right. And let's go ahead and extrude those. Make it easy, we'll just use the list over here on the left to identify how far our sketch. So we just click on the sketch. It's going to be a remove. And let's see the whole thing. Did they give us measurements in there? Doesn't tell us how deep those things are. So if the overall was 50 thousandths, we need to go less than 50 thousand. Let's go 25 thousandths. And just call it A. And there you have it. Look at that. It's all said and done. Oh, I went too far. Oh, went through. Let's see what happened. Oh, 0.25. That's not 25 thousandths. That's a quarter of an inch. 0.025. There you go. That looks more like it. Now, if you noticed, our original battery box had some color to it. So if you want to change the colors, remember just right click on the battery box logo, our name over here in the parts list, then find edit appearance. And we can apply to the entire part if we want. Say you're blue or light blue or purple, you're good. You want to add appearance to a particular face, like I want to change that face, just right click, choose edit appearance to face, add appearance to face, and let's pick a different color, red maybe. And we just click the areas that we want to apply that to. And there you have it. Maybe you like purple and red, maybe you like green and blue. Take your pick, have fun with it. That is how you make the battery box. Well, ladies and gentlemen, hope this was helpful. Hope you had fun. As always, keep being awesome.